The history of the city has 2,200 years. The caravan routes of the Great Silk Road converged here in ancient times. The name of this city means the blooming city or garden city. Hello, this is Terra Incognita project. My name is Anton Fedorov and I came to the city of Shymkent, the southernmost metropolis of Kazakhstan. Yes, you heard right. I called Shymkent a metropolis because by Kazakhstan standards, the city is. This year, its population exceeded 1 million people, and this fact is considered to be the hallmark of the country's largest cities, Astana and Almaty, and now Shymkent. The settlement in their territory of the present-day Shymkent existed already at the turn of the 11th to 12th centuries. However, there is a hypothesis about its earlier occurrence. This theory emerged on the basis of burials found during archaeological excavations according to expert estimates from the 5th to 6th centuries of our era. In the written sources that have survived to this day, in 1425 the Central Asian historian Sharaf ad-Din Yazdi was mentioned for the first time in his book of Victory in Shymkent, where he described Timur's military campaigns. In 2003, archaeological excavations were started in the very center of Shymkent. Any findings discovered during the work immediately refuted the view that the city originated in the 14th century. A coin minted in the 8th century was found in the upper layers of the soil. In addition, archaeologists unearthed fragments of ceramic products from 7th to 9th centuries. Analyzing the findings, the scholars came to a sensational conclusion: the city of Shymkent is at least 2,000 years old. The study of these artifacts has allowed to assert that 2,000 years ago, Shymkent was a fairly well-developed urban settlement.
Географическое расположение Шымкента сделало его.
The geographical position of Shymkent made it one of the key points in the southern directions of the Silk Road. Here were held trade caravans and crafts flourished in the city itself. And of course, carpets were one of the most popular goods of the merchants of the East. And since the Middle Ages, Shymkent has won fame as one of the best carpet weaving centers in the region.
Лучших центров ковроткачества в регионе.
Carpet making was one of the most common crafts, not only in South Kazakhstan but throughout Central Asia. Girls were taught to weave carpets from an early age. Young craftswomen could own this craft from the age of 12. In order to weave carpets, the machine is a must-have. Earlier it was more often wooden, and nowadays craftswomen use metal ones. The technology of operating manual machines has not changed even after several centuries. You must tighten the main threads on the machine, and between them masters already draw different patterns, threading cross threads of different colors. The complexity and brightness of the pattern depends on the imagination and skill of the craftswoman.
Вот на таких станках в древности в Казахстане ткали.
In antiquity in Kazakhstan, carpets were weaved on such machines. This occupation was exclusively female. All the work was done by hand, and it could take several months to create a 2 by 3 meter carpet. Today, this ancient tradition in Shymkent is preserved, and it represents a highly technological production, which I will now tell you about. Not far from Shymkent, there is a unique technological production enterprise where there is a production of carpets of various sizes and colors. Here on a site of several hectares, there is a factory equipped with the most up-to-date equipment, which is produced by only 2 countries in the world, Germany and Belgium. This company has been operating for a little over 5 years, but in a short time, it has been able to conquer the market for its products in many countries around the world. Indeed, looking at these carpets, you begin to understand why they were valued antiquity and why they're still in great demand in our time. Carpet weaving is one of the most ancient crafts of the Kazakh people. Its history goes over 5,000 years back. Today, some samples created by Kazakh craftswomen in antiquity occupy places of honor in the collections of the most famous museums in the world. The art of making carpets in Kazakhstan has always been not only a traditional craft, but also embodied the national spirit and was part of its culture. Patterns of old carpets reveal to use the hidden thoughts and secrets of the craftswomen and also indicate the time and place of manufacture. Carpets for many centuries remain an integral element of the interior. They make the home warmer and more comfortable, create a feeling of fullness of home space. Even primitive people threw on the floor or hung on the walls of animal skins, which can be considered prototypes of future carpets.
За многие века в Казахстане сформировались несколько...
For many centuries in Kazakhstan, several areas of carpet weaving have been formed, and each of them has its own patterns, ornaments, colors, and production technology. Since ancient times, the carpet was considered precious wealth, and sometimes only sultans could afford it. And the secrets of making carpets were passed on from generation to generation.
Центральная Азия славится своими рукодельными коврами, то есть в этом есть какой-то смысл.
Central Asia is famous for its handmade carpets. That is, there's some sense in this that the factory is here in Shymkent. Today we produce over 6 million square meters of carpet products per year. Carpets are exported to neighboring countries, Russia, Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan. Plus, we ship our carpets to Europe, such countries as Germany, France and England.
Таджикистан, плюс отправляем свои ковры в Европу, это Германия, Франция, Англия.
I'm going on a tour around the factory where there is a production of unique carpets. I will note that the technology with which this plant is equipped is by far the most up-to-date in the world. All this equipment is almost 100% automated, ranging from the production of threads to the production of finished products.
У меня в руках уникальный синтетический материал.
In my hands, I have a unique synthetic material, polypropylene. It is created from oil and serves as the basis for the threads from which the carpet will be woven. This material is completely harmless to humans, and unlike wool, it does not cause any allergic reactions. The machine operator enters the desired color scheme into the program designed for the carpet pattern. The machine dyes the threads in the desired color using a special technology so that the paint does not fade with time. Then the threads go to another machine where the necessary design or pattern has already been set, which will decorate a new carpet in the future.
Вот этот ткацкий станок – настоящее технологическое чудо.
This loom is a true technological miracle, already made from polypropylene, and dyed threads pass through it, and the finished carpet products appear at the exit. Previously, it took masters from a few months to a year to weave a carpet by hand, but now it happens in a matter of minutes.
А сейчас это происходит в считанные минуты.
Kazakh craftswomen in ancient times used sheep, goat, and camel wool as well as silk, cotton, flax in various combinations as a material for carpets. The preparation of these materials for the actual process of making the carpet took a lot of time. In order to obtain bright-colored fibers, natural vegetable dyes were used, achieving by combining them in various shades. In the color range of Kazakh carpets, almost all the colors of the spectrum harmoniously combine. They represent real pictorial canvases in which it is difficult to single out any one dominant shade. And this is not surprising, because the carpet products of Kazakh craftswomen reflect all the diversity of the surrounding world and are filled with life-affirming energy. The ancient Kazakh art of making carpets has not sunk into oblivion. The modern industry cherishes traditions of the ancient carpet weaving masters. Carpets produced in Shymkent in their design and color scheme in many respects are similar to the products of ancient craftswomen.
Юг Казахстана за многие века.
For many centuries, the south of Kazakhstan has been an integral part of the cultural and spiritual development of all of Central Asia. Here different religions came in contact, cultures interacted, leaving unique monuments of the ancient era on this earth. And now I want to show you one of them.
Недалеко от Шымкента
Not far from Shymkent, there is a unique monument of antiquity built over 300 years ago. This place is popularly considered sacred. This is the mausoleum of Ibrahim Atta, the spiritual ruler and father of the great Sufi philosopher and poet Hoja Ahmed Yasawi. I cannot believe that this mausoleum has been standing here for almost 10 centuries. Many buildings begin to deteriorate over such a long period under the effect of rain, wind, and snow. And I was not mistaken. Having studied several sources, I realized how this building has survived to the present day. The Ibrahim Atta Mausoleum belongs to the domed monuments characteristic of medieval architecture. The very first building was built here in about the 13th century, but unable to stand the test of time, it collapsed. Erected in the middle of the 19th century, the new mausoleum suffered during the earthquake of 1950, and the dome collapsed. At the site of the destroyed part, in the early 20th century, an iron roof was mounted, in the center of which a conical dome was erected. Today, the entire building is square-shaped.
Согласно древним легендам и преданиям, Ибрагим Ата был священником.
According to ancient legends and traditions, Ibrahim Atta was a sacred person. He helped people and sent them to accomplish only good deeds. The doors of this mausoleum are open. Everyone can come here, pray to the saint, ask him for help, to ask for advice, so that the spirit of Ibrahim Atta helps a person in life. The length of the walls of the Ibrahim Atta Mausoleum is short, just over 7 meters. The height of the building is almost 8.5. On the south side is the entrance, on the west side is a window. The inner walls are plastered. The floor is lined with brick and coated with clay on top, mixed with cement. This is done in order to give the building a look of a medieval building. There is a legend that, despite its small area, the Mausoleum of Ibrahim Atta is able to accommodate as many people as the elder will come to worship. In ancient times, when Islam was just beginning to spread on these lands, and Shymkent became one of the centers of propaganda of this religion, this territory was inhabited by preachers. They were looking for disciples to whom they could pass on their knowledge about Islam, its values, and culture. One of them was Ibrahim Atta, who became a teacher for thousands of his followers. The story about this old man, revered by the people, says that he was a simple farmer. However, people have preserved legends about the holiness of this man and the extraordinary gift of the seer. Local museums even keep manuscripts showing the noble origin and Ibrahim Atta's lineage. Well, I have to go on, because I have not yet told you about all the interesting places in Shymkent.
Есть в Шымкенте достопримечательность, которая существует.
There is a landmark in Shymkent which actually exists from the first day of the city, or rather, Shymkent itself grew and developed around it. Legend has it that in ancient times a bloody war was fought on this land, and one tribe, fleeing the enemy, parched with thirst, after long wanderings, came across to an oasis in the steppe from which the spring had flowed. The tribe made a camp around this saving place. People could quench their thirst and gain strength. Seeing that there was no chase after them, the elders of the clan decided to never leave these lands.
Со временем образованное поселение разрасталось, набирался сил и сам родник, пока не превратился в полноценную реку.
Over time, the settlement grew, the spring itself gained strength until it turned into a full river. People believe that the water here is not just drinking water, but it is also healing. Very soft and very warm, even in spite of the cold time.
Очень мягкое и очень теплое, даже несмотря на морозное время.
Another legend says that once in a hot summer, there was a caravan on the steppe, and the travelers did not have a drop of water. For hundreds of kilometers, there was not a single well. The travelers saw an old man who was walking in the distance, and at first seemed like a vision. But when he got closer, he greeted them. Then the travelers asked him if he knew where to get water. The elder pointed to 3 huge stones, saying that a spring was beneath them. But one person cannot cope with these boulders. Travelers fell on the stones and moved them from their places, freeing the spring. People quenched their thirst, and the spring spread over a large area. The old man was called Koshkar Atta. This place is named after him.
О чистоте воды в этой реке.
Legends about the healing properties of the spring began to spread so rapidly that people began to come here for healing. They believed that bathing in miraculous water would help them get rid of their diseases and recuperate. And when I saw a man swimming in this river on a cold December day, I could not help asking him why he was doing it.
Недавно, года 2, у меня была болезнь позвоночника. Было защемление 4-5 диска.
Not so long ago, 2 years ago, I had a spinal disease. My 4th and 5th discs were pinched. I did not know what to do and decided to bathe in the river. I believe that it helps, and it really does, because it somehow froze the inflammation in my spine. And in general, I feel cheerful all day. I'm not tired. I have a hard work in construction, and I don't get tired. I have a good charge. The coolest thing is this cold training at Koshkar Atta.
Самая классная вещь закалка на качкарте.
So after hearing a story told by Alexander Sazonov, how could you not believe the ancient legends? Today, a resort area for guests and residents of Shymkent has been created on the site of the entire spring. There's a developed area of more than 12 hectares. So, if you suddenly decide to visit Shymkent, be sure to visit this place. Shymkent is not known only for its ancient landmarks and legends. Over the centuries, a variety of cultures have been mixed here, and the most interesting traditions have arisen. And of course, many of them are associated with local cuisine. I think now is the time to have a good meal.
Скажу вам, что в казахской кухне, как в зеркале, отразилась душа народа, его история, обычаи и традиции.
I tell you, Kazakh cuisine as a mirror reflects the soul of the people, its history, customs, and traditions. Since ancient times, Kazakhstan has been famous for its hospitality. In any Kazakhstani family, a guest is a long-awaited, honorable, and respected person, and especially hospitality is felt in the south, where very warm and cordial people live. And now I'm ready to fully experience the true Kazakh hospitality.
Здравствуйте. Здравствуйте. Спасибо. Может быть, пока чаем? Да, будьте любезны.
Before you eat in Kazakhstan, you will definitely be served tea. This drink is an integral part of the Kazakh culture, and the country itself is among the 10 most active of its consumers. People have special tea drinking traditions. Until the middle of the 19th century, in Kazakhstan, tea was drunk mostly by wealthy members of society only. But half a century later, all segments of the population began to consume tea. The spread and use of tea among nomads was associated with a change in their lives. When wandering tribes began to settle down on the land on a permanent basis, tea finally became part of the food basket of the people. Sometimes it even replaced meat. Speaking of meat, it's time to make an order. And since I really like meat, I'm going to order something exotic. I wonder what they will serve, and most importantly, how much, because the amounts of meat consumed in Kazakhstan takes the first place among all countries in the world, and one serve can often feed several people.
Что-нибудь уже выбрали? У вас есть что-нибудь экзотическое?
That's what I had in mind when ordering something exotic.
Сейчас вы.
Вот что я имел в виду, заказывая что-то экзотическое. Традиция подавать...
The tradition to serve a ram head in Kazakhstan dates back several centuries. This dish is served to the most honored guests. This is how a host shows his respect. A guest must share this dish among all those present. But since I'm alone today, I'll get to eat it all.
Но так как я сегодня один, все это достанется мне.
In general, a certain ritual is observed in serving the boiled head of a ram, which shows the ancient custom of respecting guests, old people, children, close, and distant relatives. The ritual of cutting the head of a ram has many meanings, but its main meaning is to ensure that the guest fairly divided the individual parts of the dish, showing his wisdom and expressing respect for the hosts.
Голову барана едят практически полностью. В народе существует поверье, что, к примеру,
The head of the ram is eaten almost completely. There is a belief among the people that, for example, ears should be given to people who have hearing problems, eyes for those who do not see well, tongue for people who have problems with speech, apparatus, or voice.
блюдо обязательно надо есть руками.
Fortunately, I have no problems with either one, so I will try everything.
Отличным дополнением к голове барана являются...
The dish must be eaten with your hands, and I tell you, it is really very good. In Kazakhstan, a ram is considered a symbol of mortal life and well-being. The more sheep in the family, the easier it will be to survive the winter. Having meals in Kazakhstan can take several hours. Butchering and eating meat has always been accompanied by long conversations and news sharing. But since I'm alone today, it would be difficult for me to cope with this head alone. And so, when I almost finished the first course, they brought me the second one.
Спасибо.
Thank you.
Вот оно, настоящее казахское.
Here it is real Kazakh hospitality. You come to visit the Kazakh family, you know you will never leave hungry. Well, I'm almost done with the lamb head. Now I'll try the traditional dish, Kazakh-style meat.
Буду пробовать традиционное блюдо. Мясо пока...
It is usually served on a large plate, and the host of the house chops up pieces of boiled meat and always gives the best to the guest. Well, enjoy your meal.
Ну что, приятного аппетита!
The second name for this dish is Beshbarmak. It means 5 fingers. The name itself suggests that the dish should be eaten by hand. In general, Beshbarmak has always been a real table decoration. It was prepared on holidays or on some special occasions because in the history of the Kazakh people, there were times when most families could not afford meat. That is why meat is so respected.
Традиционно к блюду казахшаед подают горячий бульон, который называется сорпа.
Traditionally, the Kazakh shayem dish is served with broth called sorpa. In different regions, it is prepared differently. Some add salted curd. In the south, they cook classic sorpa. Very tasty, by the way.
Очень вкусную, кстати.
Beshbarmak is a traditional dish of many Turkic peoples. For several centuries, its cooking method has not changed. Only the cooking tools have changed. If earlier Beshbarmak was cooked in large cauldrons and on the street so that the whole aul could smell boiled meat, now this dish is available practically in any place of public catering. But for the people, Beshbarmak will always be a special treat because it is not just a dish, it is a symbol of preserving the ancient folk traditions, a symbol of well-being. And I really want my country to have as many reasons as possible to cook Kazakh-style meat.
Как я и говорил, если вы придете в гости в Казахстане, вы никогда...
Like I said, if you come to visit Kazakhstan, you will never leave hungry. Well, my main task now is to manage to get up from the table. My adventures in the south continue.
Мои приключения на юге продолжаются.
After a rich and tasty lunch, I head to the place that everyone who comes to Shymkent should visit.
В культурах многих народов мира существует на удивление.
In the cultures of many nations of the world, there is a surprisingly similar legend that a powerful flood once came upon mankind and only one person was able to save his family and all the animals living on the planet. On the ship, he drifted in the vast expanses of water for a long time, and once the ship landed on a sacred mountain. When the water came down, this man went out with his family, released all the animals, and from there a new life began on the earth. So, not far from Shymkent there is such a sacred mountain, which is called Kazakhstan, and the people consider it to be the ancestor of all mankind. In Western countries, this person is known as Noah. The Aztecs call him Nene. In the Middle East, his name is Atta. As for the means of rescue, the Bible calls it the Ark, that is, the ship. In Mesopotamian tales, this is underwater ship, while the Aztec called it a boat carved from a log. The Kazakh legend about the flood tells us that an ark with 80 righteous people, headed by the prophet Nuh, with many animals, birds and insects, sailed on boundless waves with no shelter. "7 months, 7 days, and 7 hours after the beginning of the flood, the Ark sailed to Kazakhstan mountain. This is a mountain range stretching about 20 kilometers from east to west. During the voyage, the Prophet Nun addressed the Creator with prayers for the salvation of defenseless people and animals. The high mountains, towering above the turbulent waves of the flood, heartily believed that the Ark would stick to them, and only the modest mountain Kazakhstan did not dare to dream of this, because she realized that she did not stand out among other mountains. The Creator, seeing the modesty of the mountain, did not allow the flood waters to hide the top of Kazakhstan, and the Ark approached it. High and haughty mountains decided to punish Kazakhstan, but she called for help of smaller mountains. Mighty opponents were frightened of this union and limited themselves to symbolic blows on the Kazakhstan ridge. Thus, hollows and holes formed on the mountain, and she looked like a two-humped camel. Of course, I will not dispute this legend, but I can say with confidence that this land is truly blessed by God. Its beauty, vastness, landscapes, and people are full of true love for their land, me being one of them. That was my acquaintance and a trip to Shymkent. The city arouses so many emotions and feelings that I want to come back, which I will definitely do. This was Terra Incognita Project. My name is Anton Fedorov. See you in the next episode.